Hey everyone, my name is Sean and today I'm going to be giving you a deck profile for True Dracos, one of my favourite decks in the game overall, and a deck that I love to use in Standard, in other festivals. It's just my baby. I absolutely love this deck. So let's get into the profile and talk about what it's like. True Dracos in my build, or the way that I play it, revolves around the Card of Demise. We are not playing many monsters and we're using Card of Demise. If you don't know what it does, this card says you can draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. But for the rest of the turn, your opponent takes no damage, and then during the end phase you must discard your whole entire hand and you cannot special summon. This is actually really fine for True Dracos, as True Dracos can play with a very short amount of monsters very well, and then you can set low your cards to the field and not have to worry about this. But it's the ability to be able to draw into so many cards which makes it so good. Then we have our field spell, Draconic Diagram, which allows you to destroy 1 card you control to add 1 True Draco monster or card from your deck to your hand. Gets your plays going. I wish it was at more than 1. It's such a good starter card, but it's only at 1 in the game. And it also has protection effects as well. Now we have Terraforming. Terraforming searches out your Draconic Diagram, and then we have cards to complement Card of Demise, 3 Pot of Duality, and 3 Into the Void. Pot of Duality, of course, allows you to excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, then add 1 of them to your hand, helps you set up your board. And then Into the Void says when you have 3 or more cards in your hand, draw 1 card, but during the end phase you must discard your whole entire hand. Doesn't matter, in this strategy it's not going to hurt you that much. Also, we have Pantheism of the Monarchs. This card allows you to send 1 Monarch spell and trap card from your hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. And this is really good, because it gives you draw power, but then it works as an extender, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So those are the starter cards. You've got really good ones there. Now let's talk about the extenders. All of the True Draco cards are extenders. They have effects which allow you to add more cards to your hand when your opponent activates a card or effect. Majesty Maiden allows you to add more monsters. Ignis Heat allows you to add more spells. Dynamite Knight allows you to add more traps. In the last festival, the XE festival, all of these were banned, making this deck unplayable. But fortunately, we have 1 Maiden, 1 Dynamite Knight, and 1 Ignis Heat. Do you know what? And this is fine. This is what it used to be like anyway in the TCG for many years, and 1 Dynamite Knight is still very, very playable. So these are really good. But what also makes them extenders is that to tribute some of these cards, you can tribute a continuous spell and trap card you control instead of a monster. Now, a card that's also really good at being an extender is Waterfall of Dragon Souls. This card has 2 effects. Either A, you could add 1 worm monster from your deck to your hand, or B, send any number of worm monsters from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to draw cards equal to the number of monsters you sent plus 1. This is really good for dodging disruption, so if your opponent's going to Raigeki you, Lightning Storm, whatever, and they're not going to hit your back row, they're going to hit your monsters, you can get rid of that monster and draw more cards for your troubles. So it's a really good thing, but it's also a really good searcher as well. And being that you're playing True Draco, there are cards that you can use to then summon these monsters that you search out and have added to your hand during your opponent's turn. So let's talk about those. All of the True Draco spells and all of the True Draco traps are also extenders because they give you extra normal summons. Disciples and True Draco Heritage do this during your turn, whereas True King's Return and True Draco Apocalypse do this during your opponent's turn. Disciples and Heritage are very important because they also give you extra draw power. Heritage gives you draw power equal to the number of different types, monster, spell and trap, of True Draco cards or True King cards sent from the field to the graveyard this turn, giving you the ability to draw up to 3 cards. Disciples allows you to recycle your resources by putting 3 True Draco or True King cards from your graveyard back into your deck and then letting you draw 1. So they're both really good extenders for that effect as well. But in addition, like I said, these also give you extra summons, so you can summon multiple monsters in the same turn as well, once per turn for each of these cards. These cards here do the same thing during your opponent's turn, but only during their main phase, so they also can work as extenders. But True King's Return is also a Monster Reborn effect, which can summon out a True Draco or True King monster from your graveyard in defense position, but then after that you cannot special summon. So hard once per turn, and that's the only thing you're going to get to do. But this allows you to loop your monsters and use them for resources, so they're really, really good. Moving on from extenders, I guess we'll talk about removal cards now. So removal cards that get rid of your opponent's cards, and there's quite a few. Again, we have all Disciples, Heritage, Return, and Apocalypse are your main removal cards. When Heritage and Disciples are sent from the field to the graveyard, they can destroy a spell attack card on the field. Whereas True King's Return and Apocalypse will destroy a monster on the field. These are really, really good removal effects, and they're very, very reliable and can be searched out and looped easily thanks to your monsters. Moving on from removal effects, we're going to now talk about protection effects, things that interrupt your opponent's turn and also negates their effects. And we have quite a few cards for True Dracos. We're going to start off with Apocalypse. Apocalypse is an amazing protection effect where you can destroy one other True King or True Draco card you control to half the attack of all your opponent's monsters. This is really good to do during the damage step because then they will swing into your monster and they will be destroyed. But also this doesn't target and it's permanent, so it stays halved. Very, very reliable card, and sometimes your True Draco monsters are not strong enough to get past some monsters, so it really helps bring them down to your level. Then, as I said, protection effects, we also have the Monarch's Erupt. Monarch's Erupt is your key win condition for the deck, where once you flip over this card, if you control a tribute summon monster, all monster effects on the field are negated except tribute summon monsters. During the end phase, if you control no tribute summon monsters, it will be sent to the graveyard, but there are many ways to circumvent that, so do not worry about that too much. Then, now a lot of people hate the Monarch's Erupt and they don't want you to have this card, so they're going to try and hit you with Harpy, Feather Duster, Lightning Storm and so forth. So you need cards to protect your board, and 5 cards that are good to do with that are Strike of the Monarchs and also Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment, I'm sure you know, when a monster will be summoned or a spell and trap card is activated, you can pay half your life points to negate it and destroy that card. Very good to save this card for really big blowout effects like Harpy, Feather Duster, or if your opponent summons that really big boss monster and you don't want to deal with it. But then there's also the very underrated Strike of the Monarchs. You contribute one face up level 5 or higher monster, and then target one face-up card on the field, negate its effects, then draw one card. This is really good because you're trading even with whatever card is problematic that your opponent is going to play. So let's say they use a Harpy, Feather Duster, you can get rid of one of your True Draco monsters, and then you can negate the Harpy, Feather Duster, but then you will get to draw a card, so you're not actually losing anything in the long run. Your opponent's losing one card, you're losing one card, plus the card that you use to activate this card, so that's 2, but then you get to draw one card as well. Now, what's great about this and Monarch's Erupt is that they are also searchable by Pantheism, which while this card is in the graveyard, you can reveal 3 Monarch spell and trap cards, including itself, for your opponent to add to your hand. So it's a really good refueling tool for you to search out these cards, which normally you would not be able to search out Strike or Erupt without your Pantheism. That's True Draco in a nutshell. This is my favorite deck. It's almost for every single festival I'm playing this deck. I'm going to play it for the Synchro Festival as well, and I think it's going to do very, very well. This deck is very reliable, it's good as an investment for the future, it is not that expensive, and while it's on Konami's radar, they don't seem to see me in the process of completely banning it outright, so thank you Konami for at least letting me play my favorite deck for this event. Hopefully it was helpful to you guys. I will see you soon. Take care.